Well, Sean, for a lot of this book, I was kind of bored. I didn't understand the point of what you were writing, and it's just like, okay, just a journal entry. Like, why are you talking about this? But there's like not really connection to the other pages. But all of a sudden, here in the 230s page numbers, I have stuff to say. Uh, I like what you're writing. It's like you got on a roll here, from my perspective as a reader. So you say here, Dads go, here's your name, here are your papers confirming this. Okay, there, you're this now, make me proud. Mothers, on the other hand, you are a thing in my tummy, a part of me, a collection of my cells. I fucking made you, bro. Physically. You were me, and now you're you. Calling your own shots, making your own calls. Like the fuck? I don't even have the mental recourse to fix you in my name, to assume your okayness, because you have my name. When the strangeness of this rears its head. Because you didn't even get my name. Shit. I didn't even keep my name. How baffling living through this disconnect. Continually. I can't even. Childbirth, its termination, are the World War I's every mom and almost mom exist with. A chasm of incommunicable privacy. The site of fertility, of damp caves and rich soil, of the womb where life begins. The creation of a person thing with your body/cells that society calls a fixed thing, but you know is physically feel to be just a cell thing, capable of growing but equally at risk of dying at any moment. So that's well written, and I have some commentary. So it's like, why are you dissing dads like that? I mean, a baby can't be made without a dad. In our last, 20 years, we've been able to make babies without, well, maybe it's been longer than 20 years, but within my lifetime, and probably within yours, we have only started to be able to make babies in a way that's non-traditional, with artificial insemination, but you still need the sperm. As far as I know, you can't just have a woman and her reproductive parts and come up with a baby. So the sperm is as important as the egg. So anyway, I think dads do more than go, here's your name, here are your papers confirming this. As a dad, I feel that dads do a lot more than this. So that's my take on that. Okay, there, you're this now, make me proud. We as dads do a lot more than that. Mom's saying, you are a thing in my tummy, a part of me, a collection of my cells. Yeah, of course, babies are developed in the mom's tummy. But where you say that a baby was a part of the mother, there I would disagree. And I think that if asked, you would say that you are pro-abortion, or as it's also phrased, pro-reproductive rights. But I'm pro-life, meaning I'm not pro-abortion, because, and I think this is where the distinction is and the disagreement, where you see that a baby that's still in the uterus is a part of the woman. I see that baby is its own entity. I don't see that baby as just a collection of cells that still belong to the mother. It's clearly, even in the earliest stages, a separate entity that is getting its nutrients from the mother, but it is its own life, and it can die, and that's not just a part of the woman's body that is dying. When a woman has an abortion, that is a living thing that is being killed. And so that's why I am not in favor of the so-called women's rights, or reproductive rights, or family planning. That is such a soft way of talking about something that's brutal, of reaching in and crushing another living thing. It makes me cringe to think about abortion. To say in your book, I fucking made you, bro, physically. Well, yeah, kinda, because your body is working to make this other person, but it's not a part of you. It is another human, just not ready to be coming out in the world, until the day that it does, by cesarean or by vaginal passage. And then you say, you were me and now you're you. No. I gotta disagree with you there. At no point was the baby apart. I mean, one and the same with the mother. That just doesn't make sense. Calling your own shots, making your own calls, like the fuck? Well, what do you mean, like the fuck? Of course, a child, a little newborn baby is not calling its own shots, but I mean, when you're like, I don't know, what age did you start calling your own shots? 7, 8, you feel like you can call your own shots sometimes? Well, it's interesting then, on the next page you say, because you didn't even get my name. Shit, I didn't even keep my name. Well, I guess that's the tradition in the U.S. because that's the tradition in England, where we get our most of our societal traditions and laws, right? Um, but it is interesting to note that the Philippines, um, a lot of the traditions come from Spain, from the Spanish, but in their naming customs, they're different. And I don't know any other country that does it this way, like Philippines. But how they do it here is, um, it's the law that every child's quote unquote middle name is the last name or maiden name of their mother. So, for example, and and also when you say I didn't even keep my name, well, in the Philippines, the woman does keep her name and takes the name of the husband. It's fascinating. So how it works is, so when I married Jinky, before Jinky got married, her name was Jinky Malifer Fernandez. And after getting married, the law says they don't have a choice. Like I guess you do in the U.S., you don't have to follow this. You're giving up your last name and replacing it with that of your husband. I think you have to decide that you want that. But here, it's just there's no choice, and if you get married within the Philippines, this is how you have to do it. So her name became it just moved over one place. So her middle name got eliminated, Malifer, and well, I say middle name, but like middle name to an American, as you know, is just like it's common for people to have three names, right? Like you, Sean Thor Conroe, like Big Cuz E, Eric Joseph Conroe, like me and my birth name, Eli Wallace Conroe. So it's like, okay, first name is whatever the parents want it to be. Middle name, whatever the parents want it to be. And last name or family name, surname is what it is. But here, the woman's middle name gets eliminated, and her family name, her last name, just moves one place over and replaces that. Becomes her middle name. So it's kind of like having two surnames. Well, it is having two surnames. It's just they don't call it another surname. They call it the middle name. And you know, some people who haven't traveled outside of this country or in their country, like I've traveled, and I've not just traveled, I've lived in countries outside of the U.S., and I've gotten to know that same thing in Tunisia, the way that they do things in Tunisia, people in Tunisia think that it must be that the whole world does it this way. And in the Philippines, if you say they say, "What's your middle name?" and I'm like, "Well, I kind of don't have one," and their head explodes because they're like, "How could you not have one?" It's like saying, "Who's your mother?" and you're replying, "I don't have a mother." Well, that doesn't make any sense. You can't exist without a mother. So So anyway, that I just want to say that I didn't even keep my name. Well, in the Philippines, you kind of do. So her name now is Jinky Fernandez, and last name Rucker. But you don't have a choice when you get married. You take your husband's name, but you don't really lose your name. And then your child. So, and I have 2 children here. So the naming is a little bit restrictive. So your first name can be pretty much whatever you want. I don't think there's any like restrictions. Like on a side note, I was reading that in France, I was reading about the Breton language and this area of France, Brittany, where there are still some people who can speak and read and write in the Breton language, this Celtic language. And the article, I guess probably on Wikipedia, was saying that up until 1993 in France, the people in Brittany could not give their children Britannic names. Like what? Like that's so wrong. It's like censoring a culture. I mean, of course, it's very wrong to try to suppress a language, like has happened a lot to a lot of different minority language groups. Bigger cultures coming in and saying everyone has to speak this language. Luckily in the time we live in, we have we like to preserve and encourage minority languages, but it's happened a lot. Like everyone should speak Spanish. Stop speaking your minority language of Iberia, or your indigenous language of Mexico, or the American Southwest, or the English speakers in England, with like Cornish and it's like Scots Gaelic and the Gaelic of Ireland. Anyway, well, it was like, so I was like, man, only in 1993. I mean, like I'm not that much older than you, but I know you were born in 91. It says right here in the back of your book. But so you don't remember 1993, but I do. I was 9 years old, so I definitely remember. And damn, like, wasn't until then that France, one of the countries that we typically we think, it's a free country. Well, not if you don't even let your people be named what they want to be named. I mean, the parents can't give their kids a name that's from this Breton culture and language. Like, the fuck? Right? So anyway, I went off on this tangent. Well, when my son, my first son with Jinky was born, then I'm filling out the paper in the hospital, and it's like, okay, what first name? You just write it in with a pen, Daisaku Bin Elias. I'm sure you recognize that Daisaku is a Japanese name. Uh, Bin Elias, son of Elias. That's not Japanese, of course. It's Arabic naming tradition to put bin. He means son of, and then so that's first name. And then Jinky wanted to put Ray, so that's just kind of stuck in there. Daisaku bin alias Ray. It's kind of weird. I don't really like it. It's like, but that's what she wanted. She wanted Ray, so you gotta respect what the woman wants, right? Have her say in the name, right? So it's like Daisaku is son of Elias Ray, but I'm not Elias Ray. I'm just Elias. And unfortunately, on another side note, I found out later that Ray is her ex. So that sucks. Makes me want to throw up. That she put Ray in the name of her son with me. It's like honoring her ex. So fucked up, bro. And then she did it for her second son as well. Ray. His first name is Ray. But I don't call him Ray because we've never called him Ray. And I definitely don't call him Ray. I refer to him in Ray as in any way, in any context, writing, speaking, whatever, because of that. It's fucked up, I call him Alex. His name is Ray Alexander. So anyway, finish my example. So his name is Daisaku bin Elias Ray. So that's all first name. And then, when I was filling out the form, I put the first name Daisaku bin Elias, and then in the middle name, it's just blank there. I wrote in Ray. I'm like, okay, that's what Jinky wants is to be, his name's Ray, so I'll put it as the middle name. And last name, Rucker. So, of course, you know that my last name is Rucker, and you know why. You mentioned it in this book. But then I take the paper to the office, to this one office room in the hospital, and then they reviewed it and rejected it because I didn't know, and I had to learn that the middle name of the child is not whatever you want it to be. It has to be the surname, the family name of the mother. So his full name is Daisaku bin Elias Ray Fernandez Rucker. The Fernandez has to be in there by law. And the second son, Ray Alexander. And then I wanted to have Jinky chose Alexander and Ray, and I didn't question why both kids have Ray. Now it's like I said, I want to throw up, and that she did that because of paying homage to her ex-boyfriend that she broke up with right before I came here, and because I came here, it was fucked up. So I wanted Alejandro, so he could have a Spanish name. Not technically Ray, R-E-Y, is a Spanish name, but I wanted to call him Alejandro. But she didn't like Alejandro, so stuck with Alexander. It's cool with me. It's a cool name. So So Ray Alexander, but then, like again, I would have put Pena as a middle name. It makes sense, like from an American's perspective, that you just want to, I mean, like Elon Musk's children, some of them are like, they have like Roman numeral for a name. They're like XII, and then like fucking numbers, what was his name? Like XII, and then the middle name is like E12. I was gonna say stupid, but some creative thing like that. Named Musk. So I mean, yeah. Well, like I'm all for that. Like being creative and naming your children XII. Cool. Do it. Fucking notifications when I'm making a video. Distracting. But that's how it works here. Mothers don't lose their name, and their name is passed on. You don't have a choice. Even if the mother has no say in the first name, because of the power dynamics between the man and woman, husband and wife, or unmarried. Maybe the man is just like, nope, this is the name, and if the woman is not in that power dynamic, able to get her way, but at least the middle name is the family name from the mother's side. So yeah, I guess you're writing this book as an American who was born in Japan, yeah, but you're an American, and that's how your culture and everything is American and not really Japanese, as far as I know. But it's not like that in America, and I didn't really get into how it is in Tunisia. I might as well say it. I'll keep this video under 30 minutes. Sorry, but long. But so in Tunisia, when you want to get married, my first wife was a Tunisian, as you may or may not know. Got married in 2011, and to get married in Tunisia, they wanted to see my birth certificate, and I had to have an original birth certificate. So I don't remember if I brought that with me or if I had it sent to me, like FedExed. But I had a birth certificate that was issued to me in 1986, and I didn't think that mattered. Well, why would it? Because of course, birth certificate, the information on birth certificate doesn't change. You're allowed to change your name in the U.S., but that would be like noted and updated on the birth certificate, but or it would just be a separate document, but your your place of birth. So it's like, it's basically a document that doesn't change. I mean, your name at birth, of course, doesn't change. Your name later can change, but your name at birth, the time you were born, all the stuff that's listed on the birth certificate. So I'm like, so when I show it in Tunisia, they're like, no, we can't use this because it's too old. And in 2011, I hadn't changed my name yet, so I'm like, what the hell are you talking about? It's too old. Like, the paper physically, like, why does that fucking matter? It doesn't, because the information's not going to change. But in Tunisia, what's kind of strange, for them not, is that the information does indeed change, because in Tunisia they use the birth certificate, they update it if you have a major life event such as getting married. Your birth certificate becomes a record of that. If you get a divorce, it's noted on your birth certificate. So they're like, for them, they're like, this was issued to you when you were 2 years old. So we need one that's from, within the past year or two. So we feel comfortable knowing that you're not married, that you're like eligible to get married here. Because, in Islam you can have up to 4 wives, and then the majority of people in Tunisia are Muslim, but that, as you may or may not know, I definitely know that just because you're in a so-called Muslim country, that doesn't mean that you can do the things that are allowed in Islam. The secular law of Tunisia limits people to having one spouse. So really, you use your birth certificate to note that somebody is married, or when they divorced, and it's noted on the birth certificate is updated. Okay. So that's that.